it's freaking mind-blowing, and like I have to talk about it. Like it's freaking mind-blowing, and I have to talk about it because as I'm reading, so I did the audio book at one point a couple years ago. I did the audio. I listened to the audio book. But I was working a 9 to 5 then, and maybe I wasn't paying as much attention to it as when we reach different levels in our lives, the information resonates differently. I'm just gonna go with that. So I made a video a few days ago about going to jiu-jitsu with Neil and coming across Think and Grow Rich on the shelf and picking it up and starting to read it again. And so today I went and got the paperback copy just so I can carry it everywhere with me. And here we are. And I am reading this, and this part of it says, this time his desire had been translated into reality. And right then, in that moment, I thought, that's how you got the job that you had, huh? It had translated into reality. I didn't recognize that I had been manifesting shit this entire time. I guess I hadn't really recognized my power. I have recognized my power. I'm at a different place, so it's gonna resonate a little bit differently, you know? Like, I remember years ago, my daughter and I were driving, and she was sitting in the passenger seat, and we were driving, and it was storming. It was pouring down rain, and I was driving her to school, and I was driving her to school, and she was, riding shotgun, and she was scared. We were both a little bit scared. Like it was raining that hard, and we had to, I couldn't see in front of me, and the windshield wipers are, going back. Oh, I mean, it was just like one of those things, and I remember her and I saying, like, okay, so look, when we get here, and we said when we get to the cemetery where Mama is what we said. When we get there, the rain will have stopped and slowed down so much so that I will be able to turn the wipers down to number 3 instead of number 6, and we'll be able to see, and we'll get there. And she and I both were in agreement in that moment. And as soon as, I'm talking about as soon as we reached the cemetery, the rain slowed down, and I could put the windshield wipers on number 3. And we looked at each other, and we were like, oh, shit! Like, what the fuck? Like, couldn't believe. And we were wanting to... We were like, maybe it's Mama at the cemetery. Maybe it's God. Maybe it's what... And then... I know who it was now. It was us. It was us. Yeah, it was us. We did that. And then I'm thinking back to all these times in my life where, like, it was completely aligned perfectly for everything. Like, I remember I was in school. I was in school to be a medical assistant. I wanted to work at a rehab facility. And then as time went on, I decided that after I was in school for a little bit, I was like, I don't want to be in a doctor's office at all. I am not prescribing a pill at all. Not at all. Because I had 6 months in a freaking in a medical assistant class, and you have a natural spirit to yourself. There is absolutely no way that you will go into work. And like, I knew 6 months in that I will never be writing a prescription to anybody. Like, I saw the medical system for what it was then. So I knew that I'm going to finish this certification shit. I mean, I paid for it and whatever. I'm going to finish this, and I am going to work in an all-natural place. I don't want to have anything to do with the Western medicine. And so I remember looking at this natural magazine. There was this magazine in this rack, and I picked it up, and I remember flipping through it and thought, man, this is great. And then I opened to the front cover, and it was this guy there, and he was a naturopathic doctor. And I remember bringing that magazine to my teacher the next day, and like, you know, opening up the front cover, and I was like, so you see this guy right here? I'm gonna work for this guy. I'm gonna work for him right here. This is who I'm gonna work for. And yeah, lo and behold, like, it aligned itself just perfectly. That just so happened I commented on something on one of these sites, and he messaged back, and then I was like, so I'd like to work for you. Are you hiring? I mean, I'm not hiring, but if you show up tomorrow at 10:30, I mean, we can have a conversation. And I show up tomorrow, the next day, or, you know, I showed up whenever he told me to show up with my resume, and I said, I don't really have much of my resume. And he was like, yeah, but that spirit you got is good. I feel your spirit. You know, he didn't say it in exactly those words, but I knew what he meant. He knew I had what it took for the job, you know? You know what? This hoodie is really getting me like the craziest attention. So I'm at the gym today, and I step up to the counter, and I, like, the guy behind the counter, I'm looking up at the sign, you know, and he's like, just laughing, and I'm like, he says, is that you on your hoodie? And I was like, yeah, I photoshopped my face to this hot ass body, and I'm gonna work on that until, you know, I get it. And he was like, yeah, like, absolutely. I said, you know, it's manifesting that shit. And he was like, I'm with you. And then I pull out my wallet to pay, you know, I pull out my little wallet. I pull out my little wallet to pay, and he says, that's really cool, that little wallet you got. I said, yeah, you know, I'm manifesting that shit. And he was like, man, you're a really cool chick. And I'm like, yeah? He said, yeah, I see, you know, you have your mind set, huh? And I'm like, I do. And yeah, so I'm reading this book, and what it's showing me is that I've always been in alignment. I've always been in alignment. And I've always been divinely protected. My entire life I've been divinely protected. Let me tell you this other little story that reminds me of how divinely protected I am. I was in this relationship with this guy, right? And, you know, it was toxic, you know, but, you know, so there was a lot of ups and downs and roller coasters and all kind of crazy shit that went on in that relationship. But this one time we had gotten in an argument, and it was it was the first time that I had ever like packed up and like left for the night, because it was, you know, just toxic. And the next day I had my friend drive me back to, I actually had somebody drop me off somewhere, and then this other person randomly, I was like, I really need to go back home. And so it was a new person. Her name just so happened to be Sarah. And she says, so I'm like, I really need to go back home, and I'm calling him, and I'm calling him, and I'm calling him, and I'm calling him, and he's not answering the phone. And then she's finally she's like, would you like me to just go and drive you up there, and like I can drive you over there? And I was like, if you don't mind, you know. And so she drives me over there, and we're coming up the road, and I'm noticing as we're coming up the road, there's yellow tape around the house, like caution tape. And his truck is parked there, and like in the ditch area, like I'm like, what's going on here? And I look at the house, and the house had burned down. Are you hearing me? The first night I decided to leave the house in an argument, the house had burned down, and I was trying to call him to go back home, and he wasn't answering because his phone had caught on fire, and I was not. And so we passed, and she was like, do you want me to stop? And I was like, what the fuck? Oh my God, what the fuck? Oh my God. Oh my God. And like, just completely like out of it. I was like, make the block. Like, this cannot be freaking happening to me right now. Make the block. And we make the block, and the house is still burned down, and there's still yellow tape, and the truck is, and I'm like, yeah, so pull in. And come to find out, so usually when we would get in these arguments, I would sleep in the upstairs bedroom. And just so happened where the fire had started was in the kitchen, which was in between the way to get out of the house and the upstairs bedroom. So if I wouldn't, if it wouldn't have been for me leaving the house that night, and we would have gotten in an argument like we always did all the time, I would have been in the upstairs bedroom, and I would have been trapped in the house. Just so happened in that same bedroom, the only thing that didn't burn down, like the stereo system, was completely like waxed. But my jewelry box with all of my grandmother's rings and things in it was still intact. I also had a wicker basket with like Bibles and things. And all of those things were still, they were full of soot. But I could salvage them, you know. I always knew that I was divinely protected. I always knew that there was something about me, that I was safe, that I was going to have to, you know, venture out into the world and take a couple of risks and shit. But I knew that I was divinely protected. A chosen one. You know, I knew it. I knew it. And reading this book and aligning myself, the more and more that I recognize what alignment is, you know, the more and more I read other people's stories, it reminds me of just every minute it lives gives it a better chance of surviving. Most ideals are stillborn and need the breath of life injected into them through definite plans of immediate action. You know? Everything is in alignment. Man, I am super freaking grateful that I have gotten to this place where I am. And I'm sitting in the car. I'm like, I'm just killing time. It's killing me. Yeah, I'm just here waiting for the post office to open so I can go mail off my packages. Because I have shipments today and they are in the back seat and they are waiting for me. And we have jiu-jitsu again tonight. And I'm going to go there because the last time I went, it showed me this book. And so I'm going to bring my book and my highlighter and I'm going to sit and I'm going to read some more. And everything is really on the opposite side of us just doing it, you know? Like everything. Like everything you ever wanted is just on the right on the other side of like getting your ass off and getting your ass up and believing in yourself and just doing it. And a belief in yourself is just a thought that you continuously think. So I don't believe in myself. Well, you better get up every freaking day and tell yourself that you believe in yourself. I don't believe that I'm smart. When you get up, you better get up every freaking day and look in the mirror and say, hey, girl, you is a smart motherfucker, girl. I see you. If you guys would hear the pep talks that I tell myself in the mirror, like you guys would be like the girls walk in on me sometime and I'm like, man, I'm the shit, huh? Like, man, I am super freaking smart. I am really, really kind as well. Like, I have great hair, don't I? I mean, my skin looks amazing. That ass, Sarah, you're looking good, sis. You know, I eat at a very high vibrational frequency. I only want high vibing shit around me. You know, you are the company you keep. So if the people around you are always talking about, oh, it's poor, pitiful me. Nah. And move around with that shit. Oh, the post office is open. I gotta go now. I'll talk to you guys later.